Do. We play a Parliament Funkadelic song in marching band, and the kids, because I've got my drum line of 9 kids who have, 2 of them have rhythm, and the rest of them are currently faking it. So I'm like, you gotta feel it. So I'm like, it's like P-Funk, like you gotta, and they're like, huh? And I'm like, guys, it's like, we want the funk. We gotta have that funk. You have to be able to nod your head to it, and they're like, oh, I don't. And I'm like, guys, you're killing me, please.
How are you? I don't understand how you can be on drumline and not have rhythm.
You have to build it. I'll admit that. Like, if you're just starting, right, you got to learn to feel it. But, dude, you've got to eventually feel it. Like, you need to be able to put on a song and, like, move. I did have a time where I was trying to teach the entire band how to dance. Very, very simply, like, move left, move right. Find where 1 is, and then on 2, take a step. It's very simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, what is that, Hitch? This is your home. Right here. Don't bake the pizza.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, we came from different size high schools, but at my school, you had to audition to be on drumline. So we had, how many people do we have on drumline? Like 5 snares, 4 tenors, 9, 5 basses. So there's 11 people on drumline. And then we probably had another 15 in the pit.
Oh my God.
So those are the percussionists that aren't on drumline. They're playing like the timpani, the xylophone, marimba, all those instruments you need for marching band. But
the kid who plays the shaker.
And so yeah, we had to audition. And so it took my whole freshman year. It was just like me, like training to get on drumline. Like, just putting in headphones, listening to a metronome nonstop, like learning 120, 160, 180, just nonstop.
No, not for us. It's a different beast. And a lot of it is that I would argue that public schools in Orlando, at least, were putting not a ton of money, but a good amount of money into the arts, and they had decent band programs in middle schools. Whereas the diocese I went to, Bishop Moore, and my drumline, and I remember my middle school, we had a band program, but it wasn't common, and it wasn't robust, and it was very much your parents had to pay into it, you know, like it wasn't like a public school where you could get an instrument loaned to you. So coming in, you end up with a lot less kids. We just have a smaller pool to draw from, and that's why we had my freshman year at Bishop Moore, we had 60 kids in band. And the largest band we've ever had, I think, was 85, including guard. And guard was like 11 members. So like even then, that's a small band, and we were always one of the smaller bands anyway. Used to be 1A, currently 2A for marching band competitions, as it were. Yeah. I'm sure you guys were 4 or 5A.
We were the biggest. Was that 6?
Yep. And then you're always winning competitions because you're the only one.
It's the wonderful thing about Tiggers.
That's right. They are wonderful things. I'm glad we got our Winnie the Pooh reference in early today. That's good. Today I don't know what we're doing. I will say I think we're trying to do something called DevOps. One word, not an abbreviation for anything. No, tell us about DevOps, because you said you think that's something that would be useful for me in my website.
DevOps. Yeah. So hopefully today, we'll kind of give you the vision. Hopefully today we'll get your new the favorite poem repository in a place where when you commit code to the main branch, that'll kick off a process automatically. Just that commit will build the app and publish it to Azure automatically for us. And so that's what we know as DevOps. And DevOps is, I define DevOps as all the things you need to do as a developer that doesn't involve writing code. And
okay.
So that's probably a little bit more broad than people typically think of it, but it's all these things to, like, you know, every time we publish the website to Azure, we've been doing that manually. Like we're just right clicking in Visual Studio, we're saying publish, we're clicking submit, like and it's just it's just you working on this website. So it's not really that big of a deal. But when you start thinking about it's not that big of a deal because you wrote every line of code.
Right.
So you know when the code's ready to be published. You know that this code is up to your standards because you wrote it. And so even if it's not, like it's still your code. So take that principle, but expand it out to teams that have a dozen developers, or even like dozens, like hundreds of developers working on the same project where everybody's submitting their own code. So everybody's opened up their own pull requests, and you have these goals in mind. So like in the industry, we typically call these sprints, like every either 1 week, 2 weeks, depending on how your company does sprints. You have some goals, some stories to accomplish. And so everybody's trying to race against the clock to get these stories done, to finish up the sprint. And then when the sprint's done is when we can, in this made up scenario, when the sprint's done, that's when we can publish the update to our mobile app or our website.
Okay. All right.
So now when you're in that scenario, somebody's got to review all this code that came in from all different directions. Somebody's got to test all this code that, again, came in from all different directions.
Oh, my.
And then, once it's gotten the blessing, somebody can publish it to Azure. So when you start expanding out and you start getting into the industry and like these become real bottlenecks. And so what we want to do is try and automate this as much as possible, because what should be happening, and this is like companies like I think, obviously, like Microsoft's really good at it. Facebook's really good at it. Like all these high velocity tech companies where, you know how like, don't you like Facebook pushes out app updates all the time?
Yeah.
And it's always just like bug fixes and performance improvements. And it's like, nothing really changed, but they're pushing out updates. And, and great. Like I appreciate them fixing bugs.
Very nice. Thank you.
But the only way they can do that with the hundreds of engineers that work on Facebook, like think about all the back-end engineers that have to design these APIs, keep the back-end working, then the front engineers on the mobile app, and like the designers, and like there's so many moving parts that if you can automate this process of like reviewing code, making sure the code works, making sure your app builds, compiles, testing the code. Probably once we get this in place, we'll certainly want to add some unit tests to your app to make sure that you didn't break anything in it. And so what we want to do, is anytime there is a commit to the main branch, should try to compile the app, make sure the app builds. We'll put in a placeholder for testing. It'll run all the unit tests, make sure everything's passing. And then if all those are good, publish the website. Because we are confident that this can be done. And that's what companies like these, like if you put in all these processes in place, you put all these gates in place so that like, if the code doesn't build, then obviously we can't publish to Azure. If a test fails, then obviously we don't want to publish that to Azure. Then we can just feel confident in the process. And also, like, you do need to trust your engineers, but you also want to build in these safeguards with like unit testing and stuff to prevent against any kind of bugs popping up or regressions happening. So so long story short, DevOps is all this other stuff. So this testing, deploying, these processes that we need to do as developers. Because like, if we don't publish our code, then what was the point in writing it? Or if we don't test the code before we publish it and it's just broken, again, what was the point in writing it? So DevOps is this like all-encompassing bubble that like our developers live in, our testers live in, our release engineers live in, and we all we all need to do it. It's more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's more of a mindset than anything else.
Okay.
But at the same time, like, companies will hire DevOps engineers. What they mean by that is, like, the person who's going to build, well, will hopefully build today, which is like, and we're going to use GitHub Actions. There's tools like Azure DevOps is a tool.
Okay.
There's all sorts of DevOps tools. Some run in the cloud, some run locally, like Jenkins or Circle CI.
Oh, you really know about this. You know names and stuff.
Yeah, and they're like, they all have benefits over the other. Like, some people like to use Jenkins because it's all command line based, so you have a lot of power. Some people like to use Azure DevOps because you can do it all in a GUI. So it's like drag and drop and almost like using Legos. So
yeah, big fan of GUI stuff, I gotta admit. Command line is not my forte at this moment.
Ooh. Well, I was thinking we would do GitHub Actions.
Oh.
Since the code's in GitHub. GitHub
It is in GitHub, isn't it?
Yeah, GitHub Actions will let us, take action on things happening in GitHub. So if a commit, a pull request happens, then we can tell it automatically trigger this workflow. And so I've used GitHub Actions a bunch, so not too concerned about that part. But what I've never done is used GitHub Actions to automatically publish to Azure. So
okay.
GitHub Actions, they've been around a year,
a
lifetime,
a long while for sure.
Yeah, they've been around for about a year, and because GitHub's parent company is Microsoft, and Microsoft owns Azure, where our website lives, I have an assumption that there's probably a pre-made GitHub action that somebody else has already built that says publish to Azure, and we just have to drop in maybe like our Azure credentials, and then it'll just work. But
all right, that'll be interesting.
We'll see what happens. I can definitely promise by the end of the show today we'll have a GitHub action.
Yay!
Works that builds the app. We should probably put that placeholder in for unit testing, which won't test anything because we haven't written it.
But have a place where it stops to run a test, and eventually we can put some testing in there.
Yeah, like we can add a unit testing project to the code that just doesn't have any tests yet, and then we can, in our DevOps workflow in our GitHub action, we can have that step that says like run the tests.
Sure.
And then like maybe next week's episode or a future episode, we start writing some unit tests, and then all the DevOps stuff is already done. Like those unit tests will automatically be run and tested, and life will just be good. So
all right,
let's start cranking through it. I guess I should, should bring up your screen.
Boop. And I've got it shared. Ta-da! And right now we're looking at my code. This is all the stuff that we did last week, getting the Add a Poet page, which if you've been following us, man, honestly, like it's a big change from what it used to be.
It looks so good.
It's way better.
And not that it looked bad before, but
I mean, it didn't look great.
They never built a website before.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is probably your first website. Yeah. And it's cool to see this iterate, like, because and a couple episodes ago we just mocked all this up. We used a tool called it's called Sketch on the Mac, and I always forget what it's called on Windows.
We've had a version on Windows called Lunacy.
So I mean, picture like Microsoft Paint, right? Like we're drawing boxes and squares. We're making these mock-ups of the website, and so it was pretty cool. We mocked up this whole Add Poet page, and then
this is what it used to look like, and I'm wondering why it's doing this.
Do you have?
I merged my branches.
But pull up GitHub Desktop. Let's see what because it could be pointing to an old branch.
Because if we're looking at the bottom, it says it's. And I know I haven't changed it from master to main yet because it looks. I was confused about how to do that.
So fetch origin, it says 7 days ago. Come on.
Ah!
Now pull those down.
There we go. There we go. So hey, that's how it used to look, y'all. This is good because now you can see, yeah, this is clearly someone who we don't have anything lined up. It's not looking great.
It's very verbose.
Oh yeah, very verbose.
Like, what is the name of the poet? Question mark. It's like
heavy on the verbs and
what
the
did we change that
verbosity.
to? Name?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, we just said like add a new poet, author. We definitely made it a lot cleaner. A lot cleaner. By the way, no one cares, but like I totally changed my mouse, and I'm really happy with the big mouse now.
Hacker mouse.
Really, hacker mouse. It's big.
It's pink or red.
Oh man, I like pink. Pink's my jam. All right, so we did that, and now we should be good to go. Yeah. All right, this is looking more like the stuff that I wrote. All right, now we're gonna run it. Now we're gonna see what's going on. Oh man, that was terrifying for a moment. I thought, because I had committed everything on my own last time, and I was like, oh god, did I break it? All right. And for some reason, we're still getting that. Hold on. I bet that's... Ta-da! That's how I know. That's different.
The new button. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to make the buttons similar.
Boom.
There it is.
Just jumping off the page.
Right? It's shooting up at you. It's in 3D, y'all. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. We got the poets listed here, and we fixed this last time to where it actually goes to the person now, because it used to not do that. When you say, oh, I want to see Shay Alexi, it takes you to Shay Alexi's stuff.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Forgot about that bug. Not anymore.
And, yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
No bugs, no more.
This is a perfect website now. Nothing can be improved. So, that's the end of the show, actually. We're never going to meet again.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we're deciding not to DevOps. All right.
Don't need DevOps if we don't write any more code.
That's right.
So yeah, speaking of Azure DevOps, let's do this. Let's show off. Let's go to my GitHub profile.
Your GitHub profile.
Yeah, jump over to BR Minic.
Yeah, let's do that.
And let's see. I know I'm using it for Git Trends. So tap on Git Trends. And this isn't going to look good because things are failing. But if you click that Actions tab, now this is GitHub Actions. You'll see I've got a red X, which is bad, but it's also fine. Long story short, like there really is no long story short, but .NET 5 came out. I'm using a lot of C#, 9 features.
Okay.
This doesn't like it, and I haven't fixed it yet. So
yeah.
But
look,
you'll see.
It's fine.
So you see 2 workflows there on the left. I've got a workflow called Xamarin. I've got a workflow called Azure Functions. Click on one of those. Let's see what it shows.
All right.
It's been a while since I've played around in the GUI. Yeah, let's click on this one. Nice and green.
Yeah, there you go.
So click on that increase to version 2. Yeah. Just pushed out a new app release for Git Trends this weekend. Watch out, world. And, okay, so that's a summary. What happens if you click build? Does that go into the build? Yes. Okay. So now these are the steps that are running. So like when we were chatting earlier about we want steps to run. We commit the code that will build the app, make sure it all compiles, which is, it sounds silly, but it's super helpful because sometimes, and this has happened to me, like I'll have something configured locally, but then I commit the code to GitHub, and then like say PJ clones that code that I committed, and he's like, dude, none of this works. I'm like, well, it totally worked for me. And so if it builds on somebody else's machine, in this case, the GitHub Actions servers, then great. So yeah, like, and you can even expand those carrots if you want. So the setup stuff, that's all handled by GitHub for us. I didn't do anything for that. The checkout literally just checks out the code. So it's as if you, PJ, had clicked like download this code.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And then this step installs .NET 5, so the latest version of .NET. I also need .NET Core 3.1, so a slightly older version. So basically, I told it to install some of these dependencies. And then eventually it'll build.
Down here.
It'll build the code, and that pass. I thought I had it run some unit tests. Looks like I don't have it running any unit tests. Maybe I don't have any unit tests for my Azure Functions.
Maybe not. Maybe that's over in the other one.
But yeah, so you can just basically build these steps, and if you want to see what it looks like, if you scroll back up and jump over to the code, there's this .github folder.
Yeah.
And then in there is workflows. And then that's where these names come from. So the Azure Functions.
Oh, so this is in YAML, right?
YAML. So this is, now that we kind of saw those steps, you can see how they happen. So these are the conditions. So it first says at the very top, on push. So anytime I push to main, so I commit code to the main branch. And then anytime a pull request branches to, and I put star. So basically anytime anybody opens a pull request.
Got it.
These are the two conditions where it'll run.
Okay.
And then the next is the job section. So I told it it's running on Ubuntu, so a Linux machine. And then this is where it checks out the code. So there's that steps uses actions checkout. There's the next step that it installs the .NET 5 dependency, installs the .NET Core 3.1 dependency. It restores all the NuGet packages for the C# code and then builds it. So we'll do something similar like this. Yeah, it's all in YAML. YAML is just another. I don't want to call it a programming language, but
is it similar to XAML at all?
So try to figure out a definition that's going to please everybody, because
you can't.
No, right? Like certain developers will say like YAML is not a programming language. It's just more of like a markup language where you define things.
Right.
But, like this isn't actually like running code. It's just telling the order of something else to happen. So YAML's YAML. So
I'm fine with that. That's a good definition.
Kind of like how like people argue HTML is not a programming language because it's just a markup. It just tells the browser what to do and how to display things. Anyways, the catch with YAML is you'll notice everything's indented.
Yeah.
Those indents matter a lot in YAML.
Oh, okay.
So like in C#, we do everything with brackets, and like we end our line of code with semicolons in C#. And then if we want to say put something in an if statement, we put that in brackets.
Yeah.
And we still have indentation, but that's literally just because it's easier on the eye. So it's easier to read it if everything's indented nicely, just like books have paragraphs that are also indented so that our eye can more easily read the words. In YAML, that indent is how you show that relationship. So like they don't have curly brackets to say like in this step do these things. It's just you just indent it and then you know it goes with the thing above it.
Right.
So that's probably the only catch in YAML. Most of this is pretty straightforward. Well, maybe.
I mean, it does seem very like it's easy to read and sort of get an idea of what's happening if you've done any type of coding. You're like, oh, it's doing this. Writing it might be different, but you know.
Yeah. So why don't we do this? Since we're in here, we can just copy paste this.
Hey.
So why don't we? Oh, you do have another tab open. Great. In that other tab, go to the your new favorite poem repo.
Okay.
And let's tell it to create a GitHub action. And I think if you just click on actions.
Hey. It's just
there's
stuff.
One for .NET already? Yeah, let's roll with that. That one at the top.
Right here.
Yeah.
Set up this workflow. Hey. Oh, look, it's done.
All right. Welcome to the show. So,
That's right.
a lot of very familiar things, right?
Yeah.
Like the very top, you have when it runs. So, pushes and pull requests. So, this is where we can start to define our configuration. So, my recommendation is to do it on pushes to your main branch, which
Right now it's called master right now. I haven't changed it.
Let's double check that real quick. I believe you, but I'm just not sure how these templates are built. So yeah, if you just right click and open up a new tab for the code. Yeah, okay, so it's master. Great. So we definitely want to run anytime code's committed to master. Master should be the gold standard, right? No code should ever enter master that has any bugs in it.
Right.
Or known bugs in it. Like cool. And then pull requests. For mine, I just said star.
Yeah.
So the wild card, like do it everywhere. And so I'm gonna recommend that for now. If you can always adjust this later as like maybe you're working on something, you have a bunch of pull requests open, but they're not pull requests to master, they're pull requests to like other feature branches. You're doing all sorts of weird stuff, and maybe this starts to get annoying. Then you can change it.
Okay.
Cool. So I
noticed a big difference is yours is using branches. It's got like dash quotation marks main, and mine is the regular brackets with it's a little different. Is that?
Yeah. So with the brackets here, you could say master, comma space, and then add another branch name.
Oh, okay.
With mine, I was like, I only want to do it on a push to master. So this is better if you want to add in more branches later, but ultimately we'll solve the same problem.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is cool. It gives some steps. So right now it will check out the code. There is the .NET setup, and actually let's do this. Speaking of readability, those dashes, those bullet points under steps.
Yeah.
Let's just add a new line between them. I don't even know if you're supposed to do this, but I like it because I can read it. Let's see. Yeah, get rid of that semicolon there. Right? Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
You can hit enter now.
It's automatically doing key. Interesting.
Yeah, just erase that line. It's trying to help you.
There we go. Don't help me.
So right, that first step says it's going to check out the code. Then it's going to install the latest version of. It's doing .NET 5.0.x. So as Microsoft releases patches, bug fixes to .NET 5, it'll make sure it downloads the latest.
Still stays, yeah.
Which is nice. I like to do that too. Restore your NuGet packages. It builds your code. And then it tests your code. So let's actually... I'm thinking, let's commit this.
Okay.
And let's just see it run. Let's look like without changing anything. Like this is the .NET template that's provided by GitHub. Let's just see what happens.
Commit it directly to the master branch.
Yeah, because what's funny is, as soon as you commit this,
it should run.
It'll run itself. It's very Inception-y. Like, so if we go to actions again, we should see it running. Yep.
Oh,
so
wow.
Click on that, and let's click into it, and we can see the logs going by. And it should work, because
it's
code should build.
Yeah. I wonder if we're using the wrong .NET. Because I don't know if I'm using .NET 5.
You're not. Definitely good to update to .NET 5. Let's see. A couple things going on here. So you are still using 3.1, .NET Core 3.1. Nothing wrong with that. If you jump up to .NET 5, you'll get some performance improvements for free. Like .NET 5 has a ton of performance optimizations that they did under the hood that you don't change anything in your code, and then all of a sudden your website loads more quickly. Pretty cool. And then there's also more features in .NET 5. So there's cool new coding tricks we can do. Well, not tricks. Like C# 9.
like kickflips and stuff.
Yeah, like a 360 shove it. You know, Japan Air, all that crazy stuff. Yeah, like with .NET 5 came out, so did C# 9. So basically new features to the C# language that we can take advantage of that are fun.
Right.
And I always love this stuff. But, I mean, heck, we could try doing that today. But anyways, I'm glad it passed. I was actually curious what would happen in the test part. Can you expand that out?
Yeah.
I assume this is just going to say... oh, there's another caret in there. It skips from... Like, see the caret next to run on line 1.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay. I mean, looks like it just built it.
Yeah.
I was just curious, like, if .NET... Because that's a command line command, .NET space test.
Okay.
I was curious if that would fail if it didn't find any tests. And it looks like it just ignored itself. So,
yeah, it was
happy
like...
days. But while we have the concept of testing on the tip of our tongues, let's jump over to the code real quick and just add a unit test project. And maybe this is a good time to start using .NET 5. So
maybe.
On your solution, so what you right-clicked on there is the web app. The one above that's your solution where we can add another project in.
Okay.
So yeah, in here, we'll say add new project. And I think there's even a unit test template. So type in unit, and let's see what...
Yeah, unit test project for .NET Framework, .NET Core.
I don't want to do MS test. Try... Oh, there it is. Cool.
Here?
The next one down.
End unit, got it. Okay.
So, yeah, before you click out of this, if you've never heard of any of this stuff before, these are
like me.
Oh yeah, maybe we should zoom way back. What is a unit test? Because I don't think we've talked about unit testing before. PJ, do you want to take a stab at answering that?
The only thing I can think is like checking to make sure it works on a variety of devices or operating systems, or if, since it's a web app, browsers. I guess that's the only thing I could think.
Ooh, sorry, you can't see me, but I spilled coffee on myself. So
is that why you said? Ooh,
you heard that? Luckily, I'm wearing black, so I don't think it shows up on camera.
No one will see.
It's fine.
No one will see.
So there's two types of testing, and it sounds like the one you're alluding to is UI testing.
Okay.
So there's UI testing, so user interface testing, where you have a website, and that website has buttons on it. It has text boxes in it. And a UI test essentially mimics a user. So just like you as the user, or any of us as a user, can visit PJ's website, we can click buttons, we can submit stuff in text boxes and click like anything a user can do, a UI test can replicate. And so those are very important, because all the code might work perfectly, but maybe you deleted a button by accident, right?
Okay.
So like the code's all there, and if the button was there, then it would run great, but we commented out a button because we were playing around with something and forgot to comment it back in.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Hugely important. I do it with my iOS and Android apps as well, because similar to websites, how there's Edge, there's Chrome, there's Safari, there's Firefox, blah, blah, blah. There's all these different browsers. And you, PJ, could install those browsers and test your website on all of them every time Meaning
Oh.
you would have to click every button to make sure every link was valid, fill in every text box with
This sounds like
good
a
data
hassle.
and bad data. It is a hassle.
Isn't there an easier way to do this?
Gotta be a better way. So that's where UI testing comes in. We can write code that imitates a user clicking buttons using our website. We can run it across different platforms. So for you on the web, you would run it on different browsers. For me on mobile, I run it on different versions of Android, different Android devices like Samsung devices, Huawei devices, Google Pixel devices.
God, being a mobile developer sounds hard, Brandon.
It's very hard. I love it, but it wasn't the easiest thing to learn. But that's the only way for me as like a individual developer. Like, I'm not paying an army of test engineers to test my app. Like,
Right.
It's me.
It's just you.
I wouldn't be able to survive without this UI testing. Okay, so that's UI testing. But what we're looking at here is unit testing.
Okay.
Unit testing is code testing code. So UI testing essentially imitates a user. Anything the user can do with your app, a UI test can also do.
Okay.
Unit testing is going to basically like run methods in your app, use properties that exist in your code base, and allow you to run all these different scenarios. So like, for example, you have that add a poet page, right?
Yeah.
What happens when a user tries to submit without including the name of the poet?
Okay.
Does the code break? Does it handle it gracefully? Does it display an error message?
Okay.
So with unit testing, we can inject all these values into like a specific method. So like there's that method you have that runs when the submit button's clicked.
Mm-hmm.
We should be able to test that with unit tests, and that's where you test all sorts of edge cases. So you test like, what if everything's blank? What if everything's filled in? What if everything's filled in but they used emojis? What if everything's filled in but with a different, like instead of a Latin-based character set, they
if they're using,
or like, you know, if it takes in a number, like it asks for your age and somebody put in -1, what happens? If it asks for your age and somebody put in a smiley face emoji, what happens? And so this is where you write code to test your code. So coming all the way back, we have templates here for NUnit, we have templates for XUnit, we have templates for MS Test. Those are all just different testing frameworks. At the end of the day, they're all doing the same thing. So MS Test, XUnit, NUnit, it's all ways to say, like, run a couple lines of code and verify that what we expected to happen happens. So that's called an assert statement. So we say, like, assert that this is true. And verify that, like, a Boolean is set to true now. And so, yeah, XUnit, NUnit, MS Build, or MS Test. If you know one of them, you're going to easily be able to move between all three of them. Mm-hmm. But I started with NUnit, and so NUnit's kind of my favorite, just because I know it so fluently. But if anybody watching uses XUnit, you use MS Test. If you have an opinion on it, let me know. As far as I can tell, I've used all three of them, and they all accomplish the same thing, just slightly different syntax. Like XUnit, or in NUnit, you'll see we define tests. In XUnit, it calls them facts. So like, this is a fact.
This is a fact.
Just like slightly different ways to do the same thing. But anyways, let's create this. Let's build that. Add this NUnit project. And what I call this, well, okay. So normally what I'll do is I'll just take the project name and say .unit tests.
Okay.
I'm wondering if, so one of the tough things, your project name has spaces in it.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't. You can kind of see how Visual Studio's taken it and like they put underscores under there. So let's just do this for now. Let's just say your new favorite poem with no spaces, with all the capitalization, .unit tests with a capital U, capital T. And then when we're not working on DevOps, we can try to like refactor the name of the project to remove the spaces. But
Yeah.
for now, we'll just pretend like
It doesn't have spaces. And then that's tests plural?
yep, because
Okay.
hopefully we'll be writing more than one test.
Hopefully. There's only one test I need to know. Does it work?
Hey-o.
Da-da-da, da-da-da. There it is. We got dependencies. We got unit test.
Yeah. So the next thing we just need to do is let the unit test project know where to find the web app code. So if you right click on dependencies, you can add a reference. Yeah, add project reference. And we're just going to say, you reference this project. So now all the code we've written for the website can be consumed by the unit test. That's what this is saying.
You can
And
consume
then
it, dude.
The other thing I want to check, right click on this project and let's go to the properties. The unit test project. There we go. And let's bump this up to .NET 5. So looks like the template's still used in .NET Core. Oh, you might not even have .NET 5.
I don't. Oh, I'm a terrible person.
Let's
Let's do it on Visual Studio.
So don't do anything yet because the best way to do it is the Visual Studio Updater.
Yeah.
But that's gonna and it's not very exciting TV. So
No, we'll do that next time.
So right click on the unit test project and say there's something like edit source or edit project file. Kind of in the middle. There we go. All we need to change is instead of saying net core app 3.1, make that say net 5.0.
Sorry, that's where I thought my period was over there.
There you go. So you can save that. If you go to build it, I'll bet it doesn't build because your computer doesn't look like it has .NET 5 installed. But that's fine because we're going to do that in the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enterprise
Okay.
project that targets. All right. So let's close Visual Studio. This is like the only code we needed to write today.
Okay.
Unless you count YAML. Some people do, and that's fine.
And some people do.
So, but what we should do, let's go ahead and update Visual Studio in the background. So if you click the Windows button and type in install, I think it's the Visual Studio installer is what it's called. Yeah.
Hey.
So it's a little misleading. The installer is also the updater.
Yeah, that's a little...
But this will make sure you're on the latest version of Visual Studio. So
Oh, God, I need to update everything.
got to update the installer first.
Yeah, apparently.
This will be quick.
Yeah,
But
I've been
then-
ignoring the Visual Studio. It's been like, do you want to update? I'm like, meh. And I shouldn't be doing that. But I'm lazy.
I always update right away. I love getting new bits. To me, it's like it's free stuff. I'm like, ooh, like what new toys did I get today? Microsoft historically has been really good about maintaining backwards compatibility, and so it's rare for Microsoft to do any breaking changes. And so like I always feel comfortable just like staying on the latest stable version. But some people don't, and that's fine too. Like, yes, go ahead and click update. So that'll run in the background, and when it's done, it'll have installed the latest version of Visual Studio,
Yeah.
and also .NET 5, blah blah blah.
Yep.
But now that we have this test project, let's commit it to GitHub because we created this GitHub action that will run tests. And oh, there it is. It's like, where'd it go?
I scared you.
Oh yeah, so you see that unit test 1.cs?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what comes included in the template, and eventually we'll write our own tests.
Sure.
But you can kind of get a feel for how tests are set up, and they use that attribute test. So when we say .NET test in the command line, or in Visual Studio, if you say like right click and run unit tests, what's happening is it's looking for all of those attributes that say test, and that's how it knows this method is a test. Because you're going to write some additional methods in your unit test code, like, because it's just code, right? Like, we can write a method, maybe we want to reuse some code for a couple different tests. And so there will be methods that aren't tests, but if they have that attribute test above them, then that's a test. So when we commit this code, the GitHub action, when it calls .NET test, should find this one test called test1, run it. All this test does is it just says assert.pass, which basically forces the test to pass.
Right.
So
yeah.
so our GitHub actions should still work fine. But instead of just seeing like nothing happen in .NET test section, we should see like test passed, ran one test, passed one test, or something like that. And so let's go ahead and commit this.
Beep.
And we'll see what happens.
Added tests. All right. Description. See above.
And so, yeah, as soon as you click push, let's jump over to GitHub Actions again.
Commits on the remote that are not present.
Oh,
Fetch.
that's right. Because we pushed a master for the...
Yeah.
But also I like GitHub Desktop. It's just like, oh, hey, by the way, you already had a commit to master.
Yeah.
Let's pull that down first.
Yep.
I'll do
That's
it
very nice of you. Just tell me it's okay and I'll do it.
Cool. So yeah, let's jump back to the browser. Let's go to GitHub Actions and let's watch the results of the GitHub Actions. So so let's click into that.
Into this one?
Yeah. It's always
it's neat to see.
Just enthralling to watch the logs.
Oh yeah, look at it. It's doing its job, baby.
And yeah, what I'm interested to see, does it build? Because it didn't build for us locally because we weren't on the latest version of Visual Studio. It should build in the cloud since
because it does. Yeah,
5.
yeah. That's what I think.
Unless there's just something we missed and like maybe there was actually a typo or something. But nope, it built. It's running tests. And see, there you go. It says total tests 1, passed 1.
Hey, guys, we did it. We done did it.
And so now what we can do is we're going to add one more step to this, and that's going to say publish to Azure. And this is where we're both going to learn how to do this because so far all this stuff I've done before, pretty common, pretty boilerplate stuff. But yeah, I'd say
we'll see.
Let's say publish to Azure App Service, or maybe say web app. That'll be even more specific. And oh, cool! What's that first one? That's actually
from Microsoft.
The official docs.
Yep, a working Azure App Service app. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So file has 3 sections. Authentication.
It's important.
Create a GitHub secret. We got secrets, y'all.
Yeah, so this is actually something really important. So all this code is open source, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But there's certain things we're going to have to do for this step. Like, PJ has to authenticate with Azure before we can publish this code to Azure, right? Like,
it's true.
But how do you authenticate to Azure without your password? And if everything's open source, then your password would be open source, and that's not good.
Oh, I thought we could just trust people. Like, no one's gonna mess. No one's gonna mess.
Man. And then you get $1,000 Azure bill because somebody says thanks for the free database.
Appreciate it.
So yeah, if you flip back to GitHub, I can show you these secrets. So you won't see it on mine because,
Oh, sure won't.
but you do still have the tab open for yours.
Somewhere. Well, look, I've already done it. All right.
Boom. So if you go into settings, and then secrets.
Do I have any secrets there already?
Probably not.
Okay, good. There's no secrets.
So this is where, when we get to this step, PJ can put his password or his authentication token, and he can save it as a secret. So GitHub will keep that encrypted. Nobody else will be able to see this. Not even you, PJ, will be able to see this. Once you save the secret, it's hashed, and like, even if you, PJ, gave me your GitHub login, I wouldn't be able to see the secret that you put right here. So this is where we will put whatever auth credentials it needs from you.
Okay.
And then in the GitHub action, in that YAML, we can just reference the name. So like in this case, you named it "I'm so sexy."
That's right.
So we would say use the secret I'm so sexy.
That's right.
And then GitHub Actions will pass that in. But then the cool thing also about that is even when GitHub Actions passes that in, it knows that's a secret value. So it doesn't display it. So this is it's a way to store secrets. And so it's a way we can pull this off, even though everything's still open source, which is
that's right.
Really cool.
That is very smart. Very, very smart. All right, cool. And it looks
back to the docs.
Yeah, back to the docs. Here we are. So navigate to your web app. Use the deployment center. Automatically generates a workflow based on your application stack and commits it to your GitHub repository.
What? That's cool.
That's really rad, actually. Continuous deployment. Select GitHub. Next, select GitHub Actions. Use the drop downs. Wow.
So before you do that, let me try it with one of my existing web apps in Azure.
Sure.
Just since my concern is I don't know what's going to be in that.
Yeah.
And if it has a secret in it, I don't want to show that on the stream.
We don't want to broadcast it. Yeah.
So since I'm not sharing my screen, I'm gonna pull up one of my Azure web apps.
That's smart.
Just to see, like, can we walk through this? Can we share these steps with everybody watching without necessarily blowing us up?
Yeah.
So what is it? Deployment Center, CI, GitHub. Okay, so Deployment Center, click. Click, click, click. It's loading.
It's loading.
Oh, it's taking a while to load. There it goes. Not configured. Oh, yeah. Source, GitHub. Build.net. Sure, yeah.
Sure, yeah, sure.
Oh, interesting. You authorize the GitHub. Okay. Dang it. I tried to skip a step and
don't skip a step, buddy.
Don't skip a step. So one sec. So it looks like I connect to my GitHub account, which is the step I just tried to skip. So let me go back.
You got to do that. If you're trying to connect to the GitHub account, you have to actively do that.
So I'm authorizing Azure to connect to my GitHub account. That's pretty cool. It says it's authorizing. It says it's authorizing.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Come on. Do it. Still authorizing. Do I refresh the page? Do I risk it?
This is crazy. I love how it's like, use the deployment center, and it's like 6 steps, and then set up a workflow manually is like, takes a million years.
Yeah, I mean, this would be really cool if it just does it all for us.
Oh, if it just... Did it work?
So it can find my... Holy cow. So
I'm at least logging into Azure right now because
let's go ahead and start doing this. Because so far I didn't have to enter in any secrets. I had to authenticate Azure with my GitHub account. But like I used LastPass, and so
Yeah.
didn't have to type in any passwords.
I
So
mean,
think
even
we're
if
safe
I
so far.
even have to type, it's usually a bunch of like asterisks.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the app service. Deployment center.
Mm-hmm.
Holy smokes. Authorize the GitHub, yo. Yeah, authorize it.
Boom.
Yeah, just making sure it's a bunch of dots. Okay. Oh, wait, yeah, it's just, there it is, LastPass, thank you. I love
you're
LastPass.
Basically caught up to me now.
Continue. All right, GitHub Actions. Continue. Oh my god, yeah, it's got all my repositories.
Yeah, right?
Master. Action workflow already exists in the master branch. Choose an option below to either add a workflow option. Configure using existing workflow.
Interesting. So we kind of jumped the gun.
Yeah, it
So just
automatically would have
continue.
done it. That's wild. I mean, should I delete that other one?
Let's click continue. Let's see how far down this rabbit hole we go.
Provider GitHub Actions, existing workflow will be used, and finish. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
the right branch.
doesn't look like it did anything though. But let's see what happens when you click finish. It says it did it. So let's jump over to GitHub and see what your GitHub action looks like now. So yeah, if you go into the GitHub workflows,
It's in .NET.
let's go back to the code. Let's see what
Okay.
they actually did, or if it did anything. So GitHub/workflows, and we'll click into that YAML file. Yeah, it didn't do anything.
Yeah. So
So yeah, let's just tell it to overwrite it.
okay.
So I guess we say disconnect.
And just start from the beginning
And just-
again.
Yeah. Wait.
Wait. No, master your new. There should be this YAML workflow.
Oh.
Hold
So
on.
Does that exist in your code? You can search for that file name.
Right
I
here.
don't see any commits. The last commit was from you.
Just gonna hit refresh real quick.
Yeah, the
It
last
says
commit was
11
from you
minutes
11
ago. Yeah.
So I don't think it did anything. So yeah, let's just tell it to overwrite.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just disconnect. Pretend like that didn't happen.
It's funny. Failed to delete probably because it wasn't. It was already deleted. It was never there.
Because you never did it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So GitHub.
Cool.
Continue. GitHub Actions. Continue. Repository. I love, by the way, I put a bunch of like Codecademy like practices on my GitHub, and it was just me like copying and learning code with like some step-by-step stuff. It was funny. All right, let's do add or overwrite, and
Yep,
then
and
runtime
change that,
stack.
bump that up to .NET 5.
There you go.
Nice. That's fine. .NET 5
Okay.
can run .NET Core.
Here we go. This is the existing.
Oh, cool. So it says it added in that secret. So you see that if you scroll down where it says .NET Publish, and then it has like
Yeah.
$, and
Yeah, environment.net root. Yeah. Wow.
So what we should see is that it added in these secrets. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, specifically, the secret is lower. The secret's not. There's another place where you can add. They're called environment variables. So it's like a secret, but it's not secret.
Yeah, it's not a
But anyways,
secret.
Yeah, let's click finish and see if this did it. I wonder if we're supposed to copy paste that though.
It said it will be updated to this. Is what it said.
Are you lying to me? Let's find out.
Are you a liar? It might take a hot second. Oh,
Boom! Look at that!
Wow!
That was cool.
Holy smokes, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
Deployed to Azure Web App.
Wow.
Well, no, I have to update to 5.
Let's see what happens. So let's follow that. Click that yellow dot.
Yeah.
That means that action's running. So we have 2 actions right now. We have the one we built, and we have the
Yeah.
one that Azure built. We'll merge those together as well. But
Yeah.
let's follow this deploy one and see what it does.
All right.
That was pretty cool. And actually, while that's going, if you go to settings, we should now see, like when we were here last time, we went to secrets. It was empty.
Yeah.
We should see that this.
Oh, wow. Repository secret.
And what's cool is like we can come here and we can share this on our stream because there's no way for you to read that secret now. Like you can click it,
It's not allowed.
but the only options you have are you can click update or you can click remove.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what's cool is like maybe PJ and I are both working on this project together. So we are both collaborators. I have admin access to this repo, but PJ can add this secret and he doesn't have to give me his credentials. And
That's right.
we can, everything will still work. Everything's still open source, but everything's still safe and secure.
It's mostly just because I don't trust Brandon.
Smart.
Like I trust the internet, but Brandon, I think, is gonna try and he's gonna try and like stab me in the back eventually. It's the long con. Get me into tech, get me a job. Eventually, we're at like a convention or something together, and you're like, oh, good to see you, and then you destroy me and steal my password to your new favorite poem.
And then I lock you out of your own Azure account, spinning up databases around the world.
Oh God. He's using my Azure account, my free
it's all part of the
tier,
master plan. And then PJ cancels his credit card,
and then it's over. Yep, that's it.
Oh,
That's
no.
it. Oh yeah, didn't and you know why? .NET 5.
maybe. Let's see. What is unable to find? Scroll up. So this is just like reading the build logs in Visual Studio.
Yeah. Entity Framework Core.
Keep scrolling
We
up.
just updated Visual Studio too.
Can you increase the font size? Yeah. All right. Now let's read these logs. All right. So that's just building. That's an error right there. Unable to find package.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
Adapter. Oh, it looks like it didn't restore NuGet packages.
Yeah.
I tell you what. Let's do this. Let's go into this. Let's merge these YAML files together
Sure.
because we know the other one worked. Like that was able to build everything.
Yeah.
So let's just go to code. And yeah, let's go into the workflows and we'll open up both in 2 tabs and then like show the tabs at the same time. You know what I mean? Like kind of like a split screen. Yeah. Now we're cooking. So the one on the left is the one we're going to keep. So let's click that edit button, the little pencil here in GitHub. And all we need to do is copy from the one on the right, the .NET publish step and the deploy to Azure Web App step. And then let's add that in after testing.
Stop it. What are you doing?
Let's try to give you IntelliSense.
Don't do it. Thank you.
So paste that in. We'll probably have to fix indentation, maybe. Indentation looks good.
Looks good.
So let's first delete the one on the right because we don't need that anymore. So you can click the trash button next to the pencil button.
All right, cool.
And you're going to have to commit that.
Yeah, delete master. Yeah, just commit it.
Yeah, you just commit that. And then we can commit the code on the left.
We do need to possibly change the name of the workflow in Azure. maybe. Because in Azure, it knew it was like it's, or maybe not. No, never mind. You're right. The one it created one for us, but it doesn't matter the name on to Azure. It just matters that it does it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because Azure is kind of like a helper here.
Yeah,
and you're right. We probably just broke this helper.
I don't know that we did.
Refresh it. What happens when you click that refresh button?
Because it just knows that, like it's committed now over here.
All right. Well, let's watch the action now, and let's see if we get any failures. So we'll follow the most recent one. Yeah. And let's see what happens.
I imagine it's still gonna... Oh no, the dependencies worked.
Yeah, so that was a step that wasn't included in the one that Azure generated, which caused all the errors.
Okay.
And so now, let's see what this .NET Publish step does.
It's got the warnings, which is fine.
Oh, we're deploying.
Hack the planet if this works, man. That's amazing.
That was pretty convenient. It doesn't suck that Azure added these secrets, added the environment variables for us.
I've got
the whole publishing profile.
I've got sound effects now, thanks to Chloe. And
success.
We did it, y'all.
You're a DevOps engineer now.
I'm a DevOps engineer, and y'all should hire me.
So
although we don't know how it worked.
I mean, we do. Like, do you still have the docs open?
Hold on.
Because remember how you're like, Azure can do this for us, or you could do it manually.
Yeah, and then the workflow manually is...
That's how you do it. So if for some reason you wanted to do this on your own, you could follow all these steps step by step and accomplish the same thing. And I get that. Like, maybe you're not comfortable connecting Azure to your GitHub account.
Yeah, sure. There's a million
maybe
reasons.
Using a company's GitHub account, and like you don't want to, or you don't have the authorization to do it.
Right.
But
right.
I would say that was pretty easy for us.
That was it's a little easier than I thought you thought it would be, for sure.
So the only thing I would change now is when we created this YAML file, it named itself .net.yaml.
Yeah.
And let's call it something more descriptive, like maybe publish to Azure.
Yeah.
Or because what's cool about this, again, since everything's open source, anybody could open up a pull request. Haha. I just thought of something.
What?
This is going to run anytime a pull request is opened. So in theory, somebody could change code, open up a pull request, and that change code would publish to Azure. So let's okay.
We want it not when there's pull requests. We want that off of there.
Yeah, remove that branches line, remove that pull request line, and let's change the name of this action to be instead of .net.yaml, let's change it to publish to Azure.yaml. And I think you can use capitals and stuff. Probably not spaces. Yeah. So now, since you're the only person with write access to this repo, you're the only one that can commit to master. This is a better safeguard. So let's commit this real quick before anybody tries to do anything silly.
That's right.
And then we'll create another workflow.
Okay.
That we can call like build and test. So we copy everything from this workflow.
Okay. So let me copy it real quick.
And we just basically remove the publish to Azure step.
Yeah.
And add back in the pull request. So, yeah, that's fine.
Same thing, .NET. And let me just and do that, and then remove deploy to Azure.
and the .NET publish.
I hate that.
So
There we go.
And then up top, let's add back in on. This should be, on, what was it, pull requests?
Yeah.
Shoot, I forgot the syntax. You can,
there we go.
Look back at
Got
mine.
it.
Oh, nice.
It gave me IntelliSense finally.
Whew.
Pull request, branches.
Star. And then I would remove that just the push to master, because you already have the other one will handle that. Cool. And then this one.
So this is pull.
You can call it like build and test.
Build and test. Okay, cool.
Because I just noticed there's a name. Ooh, let's look at one more thing. Right click on actions, open that in a new tab. Okay, that's what I thought. So see how it says .NET under workflows?
Yeah.
We should also change that. So in this new file, we have,
okay.
See the name at the top?
Yeah.
Change that to build and test. And this, I think, can have spaces. And so that way, that's what appears in our actions.
Okay.
And scroll down, just make sure we got the Azure stuff removed. Great. So this will run on pull requests. And we'll jump back into the other YAML file and change its name at the top to be...
Okay, got it.
That way, when you see these running... you have to click the edit button first. Then when we click on GitHub Actions and we see the workflows, it'll be easier for us, future us, to be like, okay, these are both called .NET. Which one was actually the one that published to Azure?
Right, yeah.
This one's called published to Azure.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Sweet.
Yeah.
And so I'll bet
that was
build and test
easier.
even run?
Build and test, it is running for some reason.
No, go back. On the left.
Oh, sorry.
Refresh that.
Yeah.
Oh, go back. Just and then refresh that page. There we go. So you can click on build and test to see how many times the build and test workflows run. There we go. And I assumed it hadn't run yet because it only runs on pull requests.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the publish to Azure runs on commits to main.
Okay.
The main branch.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's what I expected.
Okay.
But man, you're DevOps.
Check it out. I'm DevOpsing. I feel like I don't need to create a release for this, really?
Well,
because we didn't. Well, wait. Did we change? Did we change the
automate
code?
our releases too?
Oh my god, we really oughta.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, technically, we didn't change anything on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Like we added code to the repo because we added that unit test project.
But that's not changing the website.
Added this YAML file.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so for me, and again, this is totally up to you. You're the you're the owner of the code, owner of the website. You can literally do whatever you want.
That's right.
For me, if I'm just writing unit tests, something that doesn't change the app, then I won't do a release in GitHub. Because to me, those releases are snapshots of the website or the snapshots of my mobile app. And
that's what I think too.
Let's okay, we've got a little bit of time. Yeah, let's just Google like GitHub Actions releases or something like that, and see if there's a way to automate those releases.
An action to create releases.
Because something I'm wondering is, how do you define the release number? You know what I mean? Like, does it always assume it's just a point release? Like it's not a major or a minor.
Yeah, I wonder. An example workflow.
So yeah, there's that create release step, and it uses the action. So that's the other thing. People can create actions and then share them with the world. So somebody created this action / create releases,
Yeah.
which is what we'll be using. So tag name github.ref, release name. So what is? It'll create a release.
This is contributing. Body path.
Oh, and there's also release notes. I wonder. And I'm just thinking out loud because I've never done this before. But maybe the best way to do it is for the GitHub action just to create a draft release. So I see there's an option here that says like, is it a draft?
Draft true. Okay.
So everything's a draft, and I would assume it'll just keep overwriting that previous draft.
Yeah.
You can only have one draft release, or maybe I'm also wrong on that. Because everything's a draft, then that release doesn't technically exist, and that allows us or you to come in and say, okay, this release, or I do want to create a release. The draft already exists, and then you can change the number to the release number you want, add in the release notes to the body. Does that help us?
I mean, it's the same. No, it's the same as me typing it in
because
myself.
right? Like, what are we automating at that point, right? Like, you still have to come into the code base and do the release. So this is where like DevOps becomes. I don't know what the word is, fun, interesting, because you want to automate as much stuff as possible.
Right.
But you can also over-automate. So, like, we might be stepping into that area of over-automation right here.
Okay.
Where we're doing things, and yeah, we can automate releases now. But then it's like, well, actually, this automated release is making more work for us.
Yeah, we still have to...
Right. So maybe we don't automate releases because
I don't think we need to. Like, I'd like control over that personally. I don't want it to be something that's like, you're automatically on this, and I'm like, wait, no, I didn't want to, because a lot of it looks like it does it every time there's a publish to main.
Right.
And so we just published a bunch of stuff to main.
Right. We would have had like 8 releases right now, even though the website didn't change. So, okay, we'll pump the brakes on this.
Take it easy, Brandon.
We'll say just a life lesson in general. Always keep the big picture in mind. So,
yeah,
just because we can automate something doesn't mean we should automate it. And if we're going to automate something, it should save us time, not cause us more work.
Right, right. That's the big rule, I think.
Ooh, so can I do something? I want to open a pull request on your repo. Oh, snap. Just to test out that other workflow that hasn't run yet.
The build and test.
So let me clone your repo here. Let's see.
I want to see what my GitHub thing looks like. Look at that. It looks so much less impressive in dark mode. It doesn't look very impressive in light mode either.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool that you can see, like, basically once a week I've definitely been doing something.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't know if they are there yet. They being recruiters or hiring managers, but to me, what we're looking at here tells me a lot about who I'm interviewing.
Yeah.
Because sorry, I'm trying to fork your repo and
I hear you.
Time.
Yeah.
Because this is something I use personally. Like whenever I've interviewed somebody who's been applying for jobs at Microsoft,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this whiteboard interview where I ask you random brain teasers that have, let's be honest, nothing to do with your day-to-day job.
Right.
Just to see if you know how to code.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, back in the day, anybody could say, like, oh, yeah, I graduated from MIT. And I would have to call MIT and ask for verification. And do
And they're like, yeah, hey, is this person telling the truth?
Yeah, or we could do a whiteboard exercise and could be like, okay, wow, this guy really knows his stuff. He probably did graduate from MIT.
Yeah.
But, yeah, now with all this stuff being available on GitHub, what I'll do anytime I interview somebody to join our team is I'll see what I can learn about you ahead of time. So, like, if I can go to your GitHub repo and see all this work you've done, I can actually look at your code. I can see that it's you that committed code, not, like, somebody else. And, you know, if on your resume it says you contributed to this open source project, like...
You can check that.
Yeah, like maybe you've been contributing to ASP.NET Core, because that's open source, and you can do that. I can actually go see, like, oh, that's cool, what did PJ commit? And if it's, like, substantial, then it's like, wow, this guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And so...
Or if it's me, you can be like, this guy's new.
So, yeah, I hope we get to a place where that becomes the norm instead of these whiteboarding interviews.
Yeah.
And, like, so, long story short, to me, that timeline is very valuable. Like,
yeah.
And it aligns so perfectly with your story, too. The fact that you are... like, you're still working full-time as a teacher.
Yeah, so you can see Monday through Friday, there's nothing getting committed.
Right.
But every weekend, something gets committed.
Yeah, and, like, you can see that hustle, and, like, you have been passionate about this. And this is something you've been working on for almost a year now.
Oh, my God, it is. I mean, not almost a year. It's May. Like, May is when it really started. Oh, my God, May. Ugh. So interesting. I did for the job that I just applied for, which was super easy to apply for, and it's for a company called Fast that does one-click login and one-click checkout for shopping. It's a pretty neat idea. I don't know a lot about it right now, but you know, I applied. But in the application, it was like, "Hey, do you want to attach your LinkedIn?" I was like, "Yeah," and then it was like, "Do you want to attach a resume here?" I was like, "Yeah," and then it was like, what's your Twitter? What's your GitHub? What's your portfolio? And I don't really have a portfolio right now, so I gave them metsandaround.com. And then it was like, any other websites? And I was like, yournewfavoritepoem.com. Check out this. I built it. And it's for a technical writer position, but sending them to my LinkedIn was very important. And sending them to my GitHub shows that I have at least a working knowledge of something. Like, there's a lot that it shows about me. So I was excited that it was like, hey, do you want to show us this? And I was like, yeah, I do. Like, check this out. And then you can go to Twitter and see all the stupid memes I'm sharing. And then that's useful, too. Actually, for a technical writer position, Twitter, you could look at the tweets of a person and see, well, how do they write? How do they approach tone? How do they approach writing? And, like, just in general. And that it's understanding how this person approaches language that could be useful as well.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of that pull request, it is coming your way. So what I did, I just updated your web app to also be .NET 5.
Okay.
Figured that was something we're going to do anyways. So
yeah.
And if I have to open a pull request, let's make
it a useful one.
So I am creating the pull request now.
Cool.
And I'm going to jump back to view your screen because you should see it on your repo.
There it is.
And so if you click on that,
yeah,
we should see that it's automatically running this GitHub action. Yes. So
wow.
This is what we want to see. So when anybody contributes to your project, they'll see right now it's running checks.
Yeah.
And specifically, you see the name of it? It's called Build and
Test. Yeah.
And so now I can see this too. So on my screen, I can click on details just like you can click on details. And I can watch this happen in real time. So I can see that the app builds. I can see that the tests pass.
That's crazy.
And this is why I wanted to be specific with the naming.
Yeah.
Because if it was just called like .NET.YAML, me as a contributor, I would see that like this .NET.YAML task is running, but what does that really mean? And what's really happening? And maybe it fails. Like maybe I broke something, so you shouldn't approve this pull request.
Yeah.
And actually, I do want you to check something on your side before you approve it. Just
so that worked.
Yeah, and so now we'll see a green check mark next to it.
Yeah. All checks have passed.
And don't merge it yet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
But what this tells you as the repository owner, if you've built out all these tests and, it gives you that confidence to merge this into master.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I mean, it's a pull request, right? So you can scroll up and see what files I changed. And so I could have like deleted all the unit tests, and that's why the unit tests are passing, right?
Yeah.
But
that's wild.
in this case, you can see I only changed one file, and so just bumped it up from 3.1 to 5, and then updated the NuGet packages as well.
So yeah,
because all those NuGet packages were for 3.1.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is just run it locally, because I don't have MySQL installed on my computer.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that we actually didn't break anything.
So I need to open up Visual Studio, head to this pull this pull request locally and run it, right?
Yeah. So in GitHub Desktop, you can you'll have to do another fetch. Well, I guess you'll have to do a pull first.
Okay. So.
And I think a pull does a fetch at the same time.
6 commits to main. All right, and then
so now if you look at the branches, you'll see that pull request tab at the top.
Oh snap! Cool.
And then you can click that, and now you're running the code in the pull request locally on your computer.
Okay.
And what's also cool is, as the repository owner, you can edit this pull request. So like, let's say everything's great in this pull request, I just forgot a semicolon.
Okay.
You could just add in that semicolon, commit it to my pull request, then approve it.
Oh, that's rad, yeah. All right. So we want to run this locally, because all you did was update to Net 5, which is there, and those are the end units.
Let's try to build. Let's make sure that Visual Studio did install .NET 5. If not, we can do it manually, because we left off with Visual Studio just doing the updater in the background.
Yeah.
So I assume this version of Visual Studio runs it, but I also live on the preview branch.
Yeah, and I don't know that I have .NET 5, yeah.
Okay, no problem. So let's do what you were going to do earlier, install it manually.
Yeah. All right, so
the thing I told you not to do, because we could just use the Visual Studio installer.
Manage NuGet packages for solution?
No, I think try double-clicking on that first error message. I think that's what you did last time when it opened up the browser, right? Dang. Okay, open up the browser.
No, yeah, Net SDK, there we go. That just takes us to the error.
Actually, download .NET down in the corner, up in the corner.
Hey, all right.
That's where we're going to go to anyway. So
.NET 5. So I am no longer using .NET Core.
So yes and no. Go ahead and click all .NET downloads. So that link, yeah, that works too. And then obviously you're on Windows. I'm not
sure.
My
God, that's a little recursive.
So scroll down to where it shows
Windows.
The operating
system. There we go. ARM 64.
Yep, there we go. Yeah, do you know what your processor is? Do you have an Intel processor?
I don't think it's an ARM. Hold on. This won't be bad if I...
It's probably a 64-bit Intel processor.
I think it's a 64-bit.
Right-click on this PC. Back in...
there we go.
Yeah, then properties. Intel, 64 bits.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So I figured, I didn't think I had the newest. And I definitely don't have 86. You remember 32? All right. There we go. All right, and the most exciting viewing for the one viewer who's watching us right now, which we appreciate you. There's been one viewer the whole time. It might be my mom just running it in a tab.
Still counts.
Still counts, man.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and let the installer run.
Yeah. Let the installer run.
And
You
if
won't get away.
it doesn't work, then
That should work.
well, it'll definitely work. So I just don't know. I should zoom out a little bit. Working at Microsoft, I like to live in. We have internal releases for Visual Studio.
Okay.
And there's also preview releases that the public can download, and then there's the stable that you're on.
Okay.
So I live in either internal or preview because basically I want to find bugs before we release anything to stable. So what I'm not sure about is if for .NET 5 if we have to be on the preview release of Visual Studio. Did the installer finish?
Yeah, it did all the stuff it's supposed to do.
Let's do a quick check. Open up the command prompt. And type in .NET space -v and see what version of .NET we got. That was not the right command. .NET,
yeah, right here.
.NET 5.
5.
Even though it was an unknown option. Okay, so .NET 5 is installed. Let's try something real quick and just close Visual Studio and then reopen it to see if when it launches, it'll pick up the new runtime, the new SDK.
Yeah.
And if all else fails, we'll just install the preview version of .NET because you can run the two side by side.
Okay.
So you can use the preview version until the next update to Visual Studio comes, which will then push the .NET 5 support into Visual Studio. But that's all assuming that the current version of Visual Studio doesn't work with .NET 5. But let's see what happens.
I just built a project instead of a solution.
Oh, that's fine. They're both using .NET 5 now. And if it works, then it works.
If she works, she works. If he dies, he dies.
Whoa.
That's from, isn't that Rocky? Rocky
Build
4?
Succeeded. Cool. Launch the
Right?
website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah, it's installing a SSL certificate locally.
Like you gotta do. Listen. I don't trust myself. Uh-oh.
Is the MySQL database running?
Yep.
So this error message is something about MySQL. Let's
Yeah.
internal translate create method type. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. View the details. So what's possible? I hope this isn't the case, but the MySQL NuGet package might not yet support Entity Framework Core 5. Let's check something out real quick.
Yeah.
So let's go into the NuGet package manager. And let's see if
How the
there's
nougats?
right-click on dependencies. Yeah, there you go. So packages. So go ahead and right-click on packages right there. Then we can say manage. Oh, it's running.
That's
why. Ugh.
Okay.
Quit protecting us from ourselves.
Come on.
Okay, so if we go to installed, we'll see that, and this is something I noticed when I opened the pull request. So see how these are all 5 dot?
Yeah.
And then if you scroll down, that says 8 dot. So
Yeah.
different versioning, but let's go to updates and click on include pre-release, and let's see if there's a pre-release. Dang. Okay, so let's do this then.
Mm-hmm.
Let's downgrade those NuGet packages back to 3 dots.
Okay.
Whatever the latest 3 dot version. So yeah, 3.11.
3.11. All of them, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Because yeah, it looks like I think Oracle makes that NuGet package for MySQL.
Yeah.
Oh, that downgrade just failed, but that's okay. Do this one, and then we can downgrade the other one. Let's see.
Okay.
Now
yeah,
we
that
can
one
go
went.
back and
Okay.
Because I think the .tools relies on Entity Framework Core, so when we went to downgrade Entity Framework Core, it's like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
This one really needs me to be 5 dot.
Come on, man. Don't make me do it, man.
And
All right,
then-
there we go. And then
that one
This one?
probably could stay.
I was
but-
going to say, I feel like that could.
You want to try it?
Yeah.
The
let's
error
try
we
it.
got was Entity Framework Core error.
Yeah, it was Entity Framework Core and MySQL was the problem. So, yeah. Try it again. Don't give up.
Ooh, and look at these possible null references.
What up, Imperium? Yeah, I thought we had taken care of all those null references before.
Man, it's still cached.
I know, right? Like, what?
So annoying. There's got to be a way to fix that. All right, so this is working. So yeah, it's Entity. I'm sorry. The MySQL NuGet package for Entity Framework Core hasn't been updated yet. So now
Thanks.
that's our blocker.
Thanks, Oracle.
And if you want, real quick, we could Google Entity Framework Core MySQL, and then say .NET 5. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Core 5. MySQL connector. EF Core 5 support for
It's an issue on GitHub.
Palmello. I don't know what Palmello is, though.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just another NuGet package.
Yeah.
Stay in there, because
Was that-
if somebody else created a NuGet package that allows MySQL to work with,
Second half of June 2020.
yeah, keep scrolling. This is closed. Oh wait, no, the other issue is closed.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling. Let's look for more thumbs up like that. That's kind of my cheat code when I'm flipping through these issues. Ooh, there's a good one.
Just got unblocked.
By the end of the week. Feature complete. All right, let's see what this is.
Pomelo?
Let's go to the README, because if this is just like a community generated NuGet package that works for what we need it to do, then we don't need to be on. Oh, it's the most popular Entity Framework Core provider for MySQL compatible databases.
Supports
The
EF Core
README still
3.1. Yeah, it says 3.1 still. Oh, here.
It's got one in alpha. Yeah, let's try this out, man.
Okay, so head to Visual Studio and get Pomelo.
Click on. Let's copy paste first. So click on. See that NuGet link?
Yeah.
Yeah, click that. That should launch NuGet, and then copy paste that palmello.entityframeworkcore.mysql title. I would say just grab the title, the name of the NuGet package,
Oh, okay.
because we can just copy paste that into our NuGet package manager. So if we go to browse,
Boop.
yeah.
Boop.
So punch that in.
Paste it. Dang. What
When
is
you
happening?
copied it. It copied the icon.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
I wasn't sure if it mattered or not. And
Alright.
get that latest 5.0
alpha?
alpha. Yeah. Living on the bleeding edge.
The,
Then we'll
the
update-
bleeding edge.
Let's do a couple things first. Let's
Oh my god,
remove-
this nullable stuff.
So let's remove. Go to installed. Let's remove the MySQL one that we already have installed. So rip that out. Boom. Got here Oracle. Let's update these. So we'll push them back to 5.0.
Yeah.
We might have to do it in. Oh no, cool, it did work. I was worried it was going to yell at us again because of dependencies.
Da-da-da, da-da-da. Oh, I've definitely got
Then go back to
Beauty and the
browse.
Beast stuck in my head. That's cool. Alright, browse.
Then install it again.
Pomelo.
Get that alpha.
Boom.
Did install?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And so
Those errors went away, by the way.
yeah, I saw that too.
That's
Let's
pretty
run
good.
The app, or does the website run?
Come on, Pomelo.
No,
Alright, type of namespace MySQL cannot
Oh.
be found.
that's fair. The using.
Oh.
So I would
Do
just
we
blow
need to
that
have
away
a... Yeah, I was going
and
to say,
see
do
if
we need to add like a
IntelliSense tells
Pomelo?
us- Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Oh, shit.
So what does IntelliSense say here? Does it say like, yep, click the light bulb? Nothing.
Light bulb. Light bulb. Come on, baby. There you go. Generate variable, generate type. It's a using... But I don't think that's working.
Sure.
Just add a using statement here, too.
Install.
This is just saying change. Install package, MySQL.
Entity Framework Core.
That's what we had before.
Who owns that package? Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is that the same one we just removed?
Yeah.
So let's just look up that NuGet package, mysql.data.entity framework core. Like I would just Google it. Oh, you just went ahead and installed it.
I did not want to do that.
I wasn't gonna install it yet.
Well, I thought there'd be like a, do you want to do this? But apparently not.
Yeah, so
Get
that's
outta
the
here.
old NuGet package.
Yeah, get out of here. I don't want it.
So what I noticed is this is all in that migration file that was generated automatically for us.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we just have to regenerate that migration stuff with this new connector.
Oh, man, maybe.
You know what I mean? Because none of this code
Like,
was code we wrote.
It's not stuff we wrote, yeah. There was a recommendation of just doing this.
I love it.
And I wonder if it's just a slightly different way of saying it.
And we should find out when the code runs, right? Because like
Yeah.
the migration runs automatically.
Yeah.
So this should, quote unquote, migrate your local database. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just gonna, break it, I'm sure. Alright, let's see what the builders are now.
Okay.
DB context builder.
Yeah, it's just another namespace.
Yeah. So, what do you want? There, yeah. Change use MySQL to use MySQL.
And then what does MySQL need? So show me the IntelliSense for what this method requires. You can just remove a parenthesis.
Yeah.
So delete the parenthesis after use MySQL and then add it back. And then
okay.
IntelliSense will show us what this method needs.
Connection.
So there's three options. This is one of 3. Use your mouse and click on the down arrow in IntelliSense. Yeah.
Okay.
So it does take. Oh, it just needs to know your server version. So we can get connection string.
Yeah.
And after it's a comma space.
Comma space,
And then server version looks like an enum. So I would say type server version dot. It'll need the capital letters.
Jesus.
Bring in that namespace too. Jeez. So the light bulb should be telling you to bring in the namespace. Right?
Oh, well. My bad.
Spelling.
First,
Okay,
there we go.
So yeah, server version dot.
Auto detect.
I like that option.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. Name used MySQL does not exist.
What? Go after use MySQL, delete that parenthesis and add it back in again. What are we missing? What? We were just using it.
Hold on. Look.
Use MySQL. Okay. And that's a method. Everything's good so far. We just haven't finished making the method. So
now. And it was shit, why did I blow it away?
just remove that parenthesis and re-add it, and IntelliSense will come back.
All right.
Okay, so this is yeah, so it was 2 of 3.
Yeah, and we want the connection string, which is
server version. That should totally work. Just try doing it again. Say like, what was it? Get connection string.
Yeah.
The method. And server version dot auto detect. Let's just we're missing.
Do we need
a close parenthesis after auto detect? And it's just like saying it doesn't like it.
Oh, it's a type string that it needs.
Bring up IntelliSense again for use MySQL. We're clearly missing something. I should say use MySQL. It's not even giving it to us anymore.
Yeah, so, string, connection string.
And then action. What's the third option? DB connection. So, and go back to the first option. It's almost like it can't figure out what we're giving it, even though it says if we give it a string and a server version, it should work. Without initially setting any connection string. See, I feel like we have to give it the connection string.
Right, that's very important. And get connection string is the variable we have for grabbing our connection string. That's the method.
And then show the second option for use MySQL. String, server version. And then we can include an action, but it's not required. Let's do this. Let's get this code. I want to commit this code, and I'm going to pull up on my screen because it feels like there's just something silly we're missing. So go ahead and commit this to that PR.
Okay.
And then I can see it.
And Do I need? I don't. It's just fetched. Okay, and figuring out pomelo.
Once you
And
push that, then I can pull it down. And then I'll share my screen. Because something funny's going on.
there's something funny.
Something happening here.
We don't need to add like a using for like the pomelo or anything.
Let's find out.
Hey.
So let's increase some font sizes. Because none of this was supposed to be this hard. This was just supposed to be a simple .NET 5 pull request. But Oracle's NuGet package had different plans. Alright, let's make sure fetched it. Yep, figure out Pomelo.
Cannot convert from string to.
Whoops. Do 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 do. And okay. So use MySQL. And then yeah, so we get connection string, comma, server version. And so just to take us back to where we left off, we said server version auto detect. And then it yells at us and it says it can't convert from a string to server version. So for some reason it
thinks
still thinks we want the first overloaded method, which is not the case.
Right. Like sort of seemingly obviously.
The only other thing I can think of is maybe there's a different kind of server version class.
That's what it seems to be saying.
So this, let's see if this works. So if we just say server version auto detect. Okay, it doesn't even like that. So it must have its own.
Is auto detect a method that we need to plug something into?
Son of a gun, you're right. Auto detect method. Ah! And then we pass in the connection string to auto detect.
So we
back
can.
to you, Peach.
Hey!
So you can actually remove the get connection string.
Yeah.
Comma. It was trying to help us out all along.
Fucking, I crushed that. I mean, I did not. I said a bad word, but I crushed that.
I just assumed server version was an enum.
I thought that too, to be honest.
I made a ass out of you and me.
And I'm getting yelled at for the. Hold on, I gotta check my parentheses here.
Yeah.
Authors DB context, that goes all the way to the end. That. So let's start here. That one closes, so it's just one more. There we go.
And now let's see if it runs.
Oh, baby!
I love this.
I did just start. I was looking at it. I was like, well, maybe it's not going to auto detect and find it. What if we just add? Because the fact that it kept thinking it was a string. Here we go. System invalid operation. A relational store has been configured without specifying either the DB connection or connection string to use.
Thought we just did. Thought we just gave the connection string. So, I think it's complaining about the one line of code we were just working on.
Yeah.
So let's jump back to that one line of code.
And startup.
And I'd say go ahead and stop the program too, so that doesn't mess us up again. So server version.autodetect passed in a connection string, right?
Yeah. Well, it's passing in a method that gets the connection string.
Right. And so what else does auto detect? Or let's see. So we could say from, let's see, no, auto detect. And auto detect takes in a connection string.
Oh, hey, Gotifa. We are trying to figure out if you're still here, because I've been staring at my one screen this whole time. We're trying to figure out a new MySQL tool that's compatible with .NET 5 because the Oracle tool was not compatible with .NET 5.
Maybe we should just look at the docs for this.
The Pomelo?
That seems like a smart thing to do.
I know you've always said you hate docs. Pomelo, MySQL docs. It just takes us to their GitHub.
Yep.
Okay.
So where's it's like getting started or how to use this?
Getting started recommended character set.
So
make sure it contains the following reference, which it should because we installed it.
Yeah, startup services is where we are right now. So DB context options, use MySQL. Replace with your connection string, MySQL server version. So this in this example, it's actually using the specific version. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Keep scrolling down. Does it give a
configuration options wiki? MVC.
And remind me, what was the error message it just yelled at us for?
The error message was it was about the connection string. We got it from.
Basically, run it again.
Yeah. Bang, bang. All right, here it is. Invalid operation exception. Relational store has been configured without specifying the DB connection or connection string to use. So, what does this refer to?
So that's part of that line of code we're working on, where we are passing in the author's DB context.
Yeah.
So it just so happens to be it's during the initialization of that where this error is getting thrown. Mm-hmm. One thing we could try, so that get connection string, we could try replacing that method with just the environment variable.
Right.
Because remember, we had to write all that code in the get connection string method.
Yeah.
Just to convert the environment variable that we had. So if you scroll up, there should be a read-only environment variable somewhere in here. Or maybe it's in get connection string.
I think it's in get connection string.
Yeah, scroll down to that method then. That right there. So we could try replacing this with environment.getEnvironment variable.
We have to do this whole thing? Okay.
Yeah. And so what I'm thinking is maybe that code we wrote to change the connection string was just for that old connector we were using.
Maybe.
It's worth a shot.
Right, and I figured, because something about passing in that method, I think, was throwing it for a loop. Do you like how when I'm on stream, I tend to talk into my hand? Holy smokes, they don't like it. Okay. Unable to connect to any of the specified.
Okay, so different.
Different.
Let's try something real quick. Let's make sure that we actually have a variable here.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Well, I was going to say, so this is just your local database. You don't need to worry about this one.
All right.
So just take environment.getEnvironment variable, and let's create a variable for that.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So we'll say like var connection string equals environment.getEnvironment variable.
we have that. var connection string from environment variable equals this.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Copy paste that into the code above because we're not calling this method anymore. We need to copy the whole line though.
The whole line?
Yes. So what I want to confirm is that we have an environment variable that's giving us a value.
Okay.
Because we could just be passing in an empty string.
Okay.
So scroll back to the left so we can see where we're at. There we go. So the first line of this method, configure services, drop that, paste that in here. And then for server version.autodetect, pass in that connection string variable.
The variable we just created.
Cool.
Okay.
And then we'll put a breakpoint on this line. And so when that breakpoint
make sure
hits,
it's
we'll be
not.
able to see. Yeah, we'll make sure it's not an empty string.
Cool.
There was that one time where we lost your environment variable.
Yeah, I remember. Oh man, hold on. There we go.
So that could be what's happening right now.
God, we just totally lost.
would
I remember
be-
we were like, where did it go? All right.
So yeah, what's the value of this? Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
your connection string.
Continue.
And it hates it.
And it just hates it.
Unable to connect. Oh, man. Oh, let's try this. Gosh. In the docs, back on that README, it showed an
Yep.
example of a connection string.
Yep.
And let's compare our connection string to its example. So server equals semicolon, user equals semicolon, password equals semicolon, database equals EF. Okay. What does our connection string look like?
It makes me nervous that you keep asking me to do this. I'm trusting you.
So database equals source.
ID, password. There's no nothing else is.
So yeah, the only difference I see is it says user ID equals.
Well, I mean, wouldn't it make sense that like it's a different connection string entirely?
Let's try one more thing. And then we can put this off till
Yeah,
later.
well, we can.
Because this
look
turned
another
into a
time.
whole thing.
The thing we thought was going to be difficult was easy, and now the thing we were like, this will be easy, is quite difficult.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, snowball
let's
a little bit. So let's follow those docs. And so instead of saying like server version auto detect, let's actually give it a So right now we have server version dot auto detect. Let's replace that with new server version, and kind of like in these docs it says like the exact version is like 8 dot comma. So
let me double check the docs.
so it's just new MySQL server version.
Okay. Just gonna. So we're replacing this whole line with that?
All right, so right now we say use MySQL. Everything after that will get blown away, and we'll say new. There we go. So let's see what this does. So MySQL server version. I assume that'll work with what we're working with. What version are we using?
Of MySQL should be 8.
You'll have to check the MySQL app that you have running.
Oh,
And also, how do we
8.
find that?
yeah. Oh.
Because then the other thing is this what?
We're using 8. Well, that's the workbench. Hold on.
8.023. Oh, there's a new version.
Yeah. I mean,
What,
I don't want to
what version we're
update.
using- Yeah, let's just see what version we're using now. We'll pass that in here. We'll see if that works. And like maybe it's a problem with the auto detect.
Yeah.
Probably is there under help? Can you go to is there an about? Yeah, about workbench there at the bottom. 8.0.21.
8.0.21.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
convenient.
very nice.
And then somehow we need to pass in the connection string. So
Use MySQL.
so show the IntelliSense for MySQL server version.
MySQL server version. Okay.
Does that have a option to pass in? So that's version. What are the other options for this constructor?
String version, string, server version, server version.
Gotcha. So then the other option for use MySQL, we could pass in a connection string before it. Although, no, let's follow the docs. So okay, that's what the docs did. They passed in the environment or the connection string
as a string. So, okay, yeah, okay. So we're just gonna pass in. Lord, why is this thing highlighted like that?
And a comma. And let's see if that works.
And are you mad? And another one of these. Good God, look at all these. All right. I don't have high hopes about it.
Yeah, the other thing I don't like is we don't know what Azure's using. That's just a breakpoint.
Yep. Just wanted to make sure.
And this is where it usually crashes.
Mm-hmm.
Exceptions.
Totally different one, though.
Totally different. Consider enabling transient error resiliency. Oh, gosh. Okay. So this is going to be a whole thing.
Yeah, that's a whole different animal.
Let's do this. Because we just wanted to finish out DevOps today.
And we did.
So let's roll back. So let's go to GitHub and just remove these changes. And so, yeah, click on GitHub Desktop and let's discard all these new changes right here. And yeah, go ahead and discard that. And then let's go back to the History tab in GitHub Desktop. Click out of that. There's a tab right there. Mm-hmm. Yep. And right click on the Palmetto one and say revert. So we'll pull that back out.
Yep.
And let's look at the changes now. Oh, sorry. It's going to be in history. Because there you go.
Okay. There we go.
So that. Okay, got it. And then the csproj file. So the other file and changes. Cool.
Was okay.
So that'll take us back to Oracle. And now that we're back to Oracle, we just have to flip back to Entity Framework version 3.1.
Okay. And we're going to do that.
So basically, we're going back to where we knew it worked.
Yeah.
Before we
tried to make a quick fix.
Yep. And what's a bummer is we're stuck in Entity Framework Core 3.1 until Oracle updates that NuGet package.
Yeah.
Or until we figure out that Palmetto NuGet package.
Which Palmetto is a totally different thing. And God, is there not just an update available? Like, right. Well, I might as well go ahead and I'm going to update my my workbench here too.
Well, okay. So let's run the app first.
Oh,
let's make sure everything runs again. Because then we can commit this, we can accept the pull request, and we can see all the workflows in action. All the DevOps will happen.
That's the breakpoint.
Yeah, you can ignore that breakpoint. And if this works, all right. So we're back. So let's
We're back,
this. Baby. Oh wait, that's the old website though.
But it's.
But it is
what is
pulled
it
from the table.
doing?
So annoying.
What is it doing? How do I flush the cache? Is that in settings?
What are you doing?
Clear browsing history. Jeepers. You goober. That's what it's supposed to look
There we
like.
go.
Thank you. Annoying. All right.
All right. So yeah, let's commit these changes to GitHub. And say,
We're committing it to do it.
Entity Framework Core to version 3.1. Oh, look at that. You see the little red X there on the pull request?
Yeah.
That is your DevOps running and saying that the build failed.
Holy
accept this
smokes.
pull request. How cool is that?
Wild.
And then when we do this and push it, that should go back to green.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, man. So, yeah, let's come back to the DevOps, the original plan. If you go to GitHub now,
Yeah.
you'll see this pull request,
Oh, hold
and
on.
you'll see... there it is. So it's doing the checks.
Yep, it's doing it.
So what the good news is, so Kotifa, we did update to .NET 5. We just can't update to Entity Framework Core 5 because we're using
this. Because you're using Oracle.
Because we're waiting on Oracle to update their MySQL connector.
Always waiting on Oracle.
Oh man, but yeah, this should turn green, assuming all the checks and build and test pass.
All the tests that we made.
The one test that passes automatically.
Yep. It's a good test. Wild.
Oh, cool! It's giving you all the warnings in here too. That's really nice.
Oh yeah. Oh, it does it.
Oh yeah, so you were talking about nullables. Well, we're waiting for this to finish up.
Yeah.
It's green. So those nullable warnings will continue to. Well, let me back up. Nullable is still optional in the .NET world, and so if the creator of the library hasn't implemented it, then it won't trickle down to us. So when we use the library, it won't tell us whether or not nullable is enabled. And you kind of have to just, if they haven't done it, you just assume everything can be null.
Yeah.
So what happened was we updated the .NET 5. The engineers working on .NET 5 did some more work and added some more nullable attributes into the framework.
Okay.
And so now those are surfacing, and now we're kind of alerted to more possibilities for null reference exceptions. And
Got it.
we'll fix those, but we know this works. So
You can merge it.
you can merge it, and when you do, we'll see the next workflow kick off, because this has now been a commit to master.
Yeah, it's merged there, and now.
So because PJ gave it his blessing, and he's the only one that can allow this to merge to master,
Yep.
now it's going to build the code again, it's going to run all the tests again, and assuming all those passes, push it automatically to Azure.
Where we will see nothing change.
The performance should be better, but we didn't do any baseline experiments. We don't have a control. We don't know how fast the website loads.
We're not measuring that.
But
What do you think is going on here? That I'm like going in here and going
look
into
at all that stuff. Those logs weren't there before.
These are all deployment logs from the. This is the deployment center.
What? That's so cool.
Created by a push. Created by a push. Created by a push.
And I wouldn't open those logs on the live stream.
I mean,
Just in case. Like
I'll do
there's a
what I
secret in
want.
there.
Oh, look at it. Getting kilobytes of data. Response time. 0. Requests.
Actually, that 2.5-second response time, that's a metric. That's what it took to load on .NET Core 3.1. We
No
should
way.
see that. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if that improves.
Where am I? Nope. Here. Complete job. Hey, it's good.
Azure.
Yeah. Which means...
YNFP.net. Everybody's favorite website.
It's the only thing anyone talks about.
It's crazy. It's hard
The
to get people to stop talking about it.
Yeah, it's almost embarrassing. People keep approaching me on the streets saying, "You're a PJ," and I'm like, "Oh my god, please. Oh my god."
Ooh, I wonder if you right-click and say View Source. Does it say anything about .NET 5 in the source code? Or is this just all HTML stuff?
I'm looking for 5s.
Net.
Got sonnets.
Sonnet. Nah.
This is also that's
curious.
that's just for the main page there. So, yep, just shows that. It just shows the HTML, right? View page source.
Yeah. I was just curious if maybe ASP.NET adds in a comment running on.
Oh no, don't. Sorry.
Which is probably a good thing. You probably don't want to give that information away to random
I
people on
do.
the internet.
I told everyone. All right, check it out. This is all done. We finished, and we don't it was less steps. We just commit to GitHub and pushes to Azure for us. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. So I will say, we were talking about releases earlier. Now that we did update the framework, I would make a release for this. I would just whatever our point releases were on. So we are on
3.2. Yeah.
I would just call this 3.2.1.
Yeah.
Just in case we ever needed to roll back or something. And
Oh, man.
Just update to .NET 5. Maybe someday we'll update to EF Core 5.
Maybe. Maybe when we can.
Yeah.
Right.
DevOps.
We did it. It only took 2 hours.
we had some tangents. I
A
would say,
few.
there's got to be somewhere if you want to spend 5 minutes real quick to see what Oracle's working on. I imagine if we Google the name of that NuGet package, I already forgot what it was called.
Pomelo? Or Oracle's?
The one we're using that we're stuck with for now. So go back to the
Let's see.
NuGet package name and just copy paste
MySQL.data. Is it in using?
Ooh, smart, yeah. It's got to be somewhere.
I mean,
Probably in the database code.
here we go.
Oh yeah, on the window on the right, I think that title.
There we go.
You can grab it. Yeah. So I would just pop that in with, and then I would say EF Core.
Look at this verse Pomelo entity framework as the
Oh,
suggestion.
they're even .NET 5. So we're not the first ones to stumble.
Yes.
Let's see.
Developer guide, NuGet gallery.
Let's try this. In the search, instead of saying .NET 5, let's do double quote EF. Let's try EF Core as one word, space 5. And then double quote. So that'll require that string to be in the search results.
Yeah.
Using it for
What?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
I was really hoping there would be issues and
I mean, unless we're the first. which I don't.
Unity Framework Core 5 in... Oh, let's also do that. Put the NuGet package name in quotes. Because these results are pulling, like, this random article said MySQL. And...
Yeah.
Okay. Use any database provider supported. GF Core. Yeah, I was really hoping to see like maybe they had like a blog post, maybe there was a GitHub issue where you could track their progress. You could try, instead of EF Core 5 in the search, like Entity Framework Core 5. See if that...
I keep seeing this and I just have to click it. What is this version of Visual Studio I'm looking at here?
Light mode. Gross. And that's Pomelo. Right?
This is...
dash alpha.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they're point. Pomelo.anyFramework.
Yeah, they're talking about Pomelo. I mean... I'm kind of looking to maybe use Pomelo because it seems to be so popular. So maybe that's what we work on next time, is making Pomelo work, because it might take a little more doing, because we wrote it specifically for the Oracle version.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. In the meantime, how about we get off of here and start enjoying our Sunday?
Done.
Done and done. That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for tuning in, people who came in and tuned in. It's been an interesting ride today, and I can't wait to see what we do next week. More frustration coming in. Boop, 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 boop.